Alright, guys, this is Rashbo here. So, today I'd like to talk about my musical journey. Alright, also, just going to talk about my musical influences and how I got started in music. Okay, when I was young, and this I would say was maybe about when I was 3, 4 years old. Yeah, 3 to 4 or 5, and this was like the early 2000s. I used to listen a lot to Backstreet Boys. I mean, as you know, from the 90s to like maybe till 2000 and maybe 2005. All right, I mean, or maybe 2004. Boy bands are really popular. Like NSYNC, Westlife, and Backstreet Boys. But I just love the Backstreet Boys. I mean, um, I used to listen to them like all the time. And as you know, back in the day, you didn't have iPods, you didn't have smartphones, and I used to have a Walkman player, a Walkman, where you put in the CD, and I remember carrying it in my back all the time. That was my iPod, and I think I also went and bought the Backstreet Boys DVD, the karaoke, and I remember plugging it in to my DVD player and then singing the songs. I just love them. And I think I love Nick a lot. I wanted to be like him. I even had a poster of the Backstreet Boys in my toilet. All right. And also in my kindergarten, I remember my teacher used to, used to play Backstreet Boys songs like all of the time. And the last song, Backstreet Boys song, which I listened to, I think was Incomplete. All right. And as you know, as time goes on by, the music changes as well. And I feel they were also trying to change their music to fit the, you know, the, to, to sort of like to fit in. And I didn't really like Incomplete. All right. I felt that it was a change from like the early songs that they used to make. So that was kind of like my breakaway from the Backstreet Boys. And sometime around 2006 to 2000 and maybe 2007 or early 2008, I used to listen to like Lil Wayne. I can't believe it. I also used to listen to like Tupac. You know, one of the songs I listened to was there was a remix in the air tonight. I think that Tupac made as well. I loved it, and that was the only Tupac songs I listened to. And sometime around 2008 or 2000, yeah, probably around 2008, I found out about the Beatles, and I had a book which was about arts, and they had a section on. Um, they just had a picture of the wax figures of the Beatles, and I was like, who are these guys? I mean, they're in you know business suits and playing music. So I searched up Beatles. Back then, I downloaded a file sharing uh, software called Aries. It's a P2P file sharing software, and I typed in Beatles. A whole bunch of the songs popped out, and I downloaded the first two songs I just randomly clicked was Yesterday and Let It Be. And ever since then, I was hooked onto the Beatles. I just loved them, and this actually influenced me to get a guitar. And I remember my dad got me a classical guitar, and I used to go for guitar lessons. And believe it or not, that only lasted for like less than a year. I quit because I just found it hard to play. All right, I found it hard to stretch my fingers to play the chords, and I didn't even play the guitar for like almost a year. And also, I don't know how I oh yeah, my mom used to sing to my sister this song called 500 Miles. And also there was a short time when I used to listen to folk songs, like the Kingston Trio, the Brothers Four, Joan Baez, and you know, folk songs, from like the early '60s. And sometime around 2009, that's when I actually picked up the guitar. And the reason being was because I used to have a tutor who would come to my house and he would teach me mathematics and other stuff. And I just happened to ask him one day, like, hey, you said that you were in a band, you said that you played guitar. Do you mind, you could show me and play for me some songs? And he was like, yeah, sure. Just go to Google. He said, just find for me the chords for the songs and I'll play it for you. And I think I typed in Let It Be. And man, he was playing the songs and I was like, oh my goodness. All right. I mean, the song that you love and someone's playing it for you and you're just mind blown. All right. And ever since that day, I was like playing the guitar non-stop. The first two chords which I learned was a C and a G7, and I was like, I'll just playing the guitar. And of course, it was hard for me to place my fingers according to the chords. All right, sometimes it didn't sound right. All right, and then the next thing I learned was trying to switch between the chords. All right, and eventually, I just started playing all the Beatles songs. All right, which I loved, and I just loved it. All right, and as time like went on by, I mean, here and there, I used to listen to a few songs. I remember I listened to The Killers, I listened to Boston. I used to play a game called Rock Band Unplugged on my PSP, and I used to listen to a few songs from the game, and but I just want to talk mainly, focusing on musicians or bands which sort of like influenced me over time. Sometime around 2011, I found out about a band called Badfinger. It was through the Beatles actually. There was a video called "Songs That Lennon McCartney Wrote or I think gave away," and Badfinger popped out. And I was like, "Hey man, this song called Come and Get It. It didn't really sound like a '60s or '70s band. It was like a bit of a change. It sounded more like a rock type of song, or yeah, actually I don't know whether should I even call it rock. But I guess the correct term would be power pop. And from 2000, I would say from 2011 all the way to like maybe 2012 or early 2013, I was like hooked on to Badfinger. I used to listen. I love them. Like I said, I really like their new. I love the new sound. Power pop sound. It's different from rock. It's different from folk. All right. And I loved Pete Ham from Badfinger. I used to listen to the two albums called Seven Park Avenue and Gold is Green. Basically, it's just a compilation of songs which he wrote alone, and most of it you know, um, are his, you know, poorly recorded songs in his, I guess, tape recorder. I forgot what's the name, man. Revox tape recorder or something like that. And that had a huge influence on me as well. I mean, if you look back at my videos, I mean, there was a period of time I used to just cover his songs. I used to cover Badfinger songs. And from there, I found out about um, this guy called Elliott Smith. And basically, after listening to a couple of Elliott Smith songs, was kind of what you could say got me into like songwriting, and also trying to just really record on my own, using what I have. Because there was an album which I think Elliott Smith made in his basement. He had like a homemade recording studio. And I just thought, man, hey, if this guy could do it, why can't I? And yeah, I love, those that period where I used to listen to these guys. And also I found out about Big Star. Again, they had a unique, power pop sound to them as well. I love them. And sometime around 2013 was my Cat Stevens era. I literally downloaded all of his albums, and I loved him. All right, he's unique as well. And sometime around 2013, or yeah, probably end of 2013, a particular artist made a huge impact on me, and his name was Nick Drake. All right, and that guy is really unique. All right, I mean, till this day, I listen to his songs. I'm mind blown, especially when it comes to finger picking. When it comes to, you know, tuning guitar to all of these strange and weird tunings. Man, that guy was a genius. He was a way ahead of his time. All right, and that really, I would say, influenced me to work on my finger picking. All right, and it really pushed me to try to learn his songs, because when I first heard his song, I'm like, hey, it sounds unique. And when I looked up the taps, I was like, holy shit, man, it's so complicated. All right, and I remember there's this song called Hazy Jane, and the finger picking was so complicated. I was like, I literally gave up on the song, and it was only this year, or it was only last year, so it took me, I would say, close to 2 years to really break down the song, and to learn how to play it. And that's something I learned as well. When I look at, for example, Nick Drake's songs, and I'm like, holy shit, man, it's so complicated. I break down the song into different sections. For example, the intro. For example, this small part, all right? And for example, let's just say looking at the intro, I just learn the intro itself, and I keep playing it for like 2 or 3 days straight in a row. And then once I've got the intro done, I go ahead and I play the next part again for the next 2 and 3 days, and then I piece them together, and I get the song. All right, I learn how to play it, and so maybe it might take me a week or so to learn how to play his songs. And that guy was a genius. All right, like I said, he was way ahead of his time when it comes to finger picking. Also, you know, if you were to look into the lyrics of his songs, if you were to read it, yeah, maybe it has a deeper meaning, behind it. All right, and but what I'm really drawn towards that guy for is his way of playing the guitar. All right, and I guess along that time, I remember I watched a movie called X-Men: Days of Future Past, and this in a particular scene of the movie, they had a Jim Croce song playing in the background called "Time in a Bottle," and also again I downloaded all of his albums. I listened to his songs, and him along with his lead guitarist Maori, I forgot how to pronounce his last name, something, was what eventually I would say influenced me to work with what I have. All right, because if you were to look sometime around 2012 to 2013, all right, basically, or maybe 2014, basically, it was a time where I used to make covers with this guy called Mickey Delfino. All right, that's not his real name, but it's a YouTube singer, and he works with his keyboard where he would add in drums, and other instruments, and also he would sing as well. So we love Badfinger, and together we made a total of maybe close to 10 Badfinger covers, and it's on YouTube. It's on my channel, and also it's on his channel. And I would record my part, which would be the guitar, which would be whatever I could, maybe the piano, and my vocals, and I'll send it over to him, and he would mix it, and he would add in the drums, and together, we worked together for almost a year, or close to 2 years, and the last recording we did was sometime around 2014, I guess. Yeah, that was the last time we actually made a cover together. And after that, you know, we kind of went away. So 2014, or maybe yeah, late 2014, that was the time. Like I said, I found out about Elliott Smith. Also, I happened to watch Time on a Bottle. I found out about Jim Croce, and if you look at my covers around 2015, like I said, I decided to work with what I have. I didn't have anyone to collaborate with. I only had me, myself, and my guitar. And if you look at my covers around that time, I worked on adding multiple guitars. I worked on adding lead guitars. All right, I worked on adding, harmonizing myself, adding backing vocals, and that was because, like I said, I listened to Jim Croce. I also listened to Cat Stevens, and I made a few Cat Stevens covers based on that. All right, and yeah, actually, that's so far my journey, with music, and also my musical influences. All right. So as of right now, I don't really I've not written a song. I I plan on writing songs? Maybe. All right. I mean, I'm not really that active as other, you know, YouTube YouTube singers who have a big passion for music. Where they constantly write songs on their own and do recording. In fact, till this day, I'm recording with my smartphone, and I mix it on Adobe Audition on my computer. I don't have a proper mic. Because I don't really plan to go professional. All right. I mean, doing this is just a hobby of mine. I just like experiment with myself and just put my work out there. In fact, I don't really care if my videos to get views or if I don't get views. If they get views, if they get recognized, it's great. If I don't, I don't really bother because hey, I just want to put it out there. All right. So yeah, I mean that's all I have to say. So thank you guys for watching, and you know I look forward to myself recording a song or recording a cover and putting out there on YouTube. So thank you very much, and have a good day ahead.